Hi everyone, BritSimon here. So I want to help you. No, I want to start better than that. Hi everyone. So I'm going to help you do your entry for the DV2026 lottery. It's going to start on October the 2nd and will run until November the 5th of 2024. That's the entry period. I really want you to do this entry yourself online at the government website. I'm going to put the government website link below this video so you'll be able to go there. Please don't go through any agent. Don't pay anybody. Don't let anybody have your information. It doesn't matter who they are, unless it's a very, very close family member. You need to not be using agents because agents can easily blackmail you once you become a winner. They will blackmail you and they could ask for hundreds or thousands of dollars. It's happened many, many times, I promise you. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to fill out your form online so that you can do your own DV lottery for free. You don't have to pay a thing, and you just need a few minutes of time and a bit of common sense, okay? So let me take you through the process right now, and we'll see how that goes, right? Now, online, I found this website, dvlottery.me, that has a practice DV lottery entry form. And it's pretty close. It's almost exactly the same as the online DS5501 that we will see this week. There will be a new version. There's slight differences every year. So it won't look identical, but it will have the same questions. So I think you can probably do this. Okay. So let's have a go through this. We'll take this step by step. Right. Name is asking for the last name, then the first name, then the middle name. Okay. Now, that's last/family name. It's sometimes called surname in some countries. So, for example, if you were talking about Elvis Presley, his last name was Presley, right? So, let's pretend Elvis Presley is who we're entering as, right? Elvis is his first name. And in the middle, I've forgotten what Elvis Presley's middle name was, but let's say it's the Pelvis. Elvis the Pelvis Presley, okay? So, in fact, we'll say that he has two middle names and he can enter it like that. You do have an option to click no middle name, no first name, and then everything would go in your last or family name. But in general, there's only a couple of countries in the world where they have names organized in that way. In general, the family name is a name that is shared amongst the family members, okay? Okay, so Elvis is a male, so you click on male or female, whichever is correct. And let's say, I don't know his month and date of birth, but let's say he was born on 09/02, which is the 2nd of September, and 1964, right? So he's just turned 60 years old. This Elvis Presley. Okay, so you'll notice that I've put the month in the beginning under month. So you're going to have a value there from 001 to 12, right? And the day is going to be the month. Now, be very careful with the translations from other date systems. All right, just try and make sure you're accurate. City where you were born, right? Well, the UK is eligible this year, so let's pretend that Elvis the Pelvis Presley was born in London. Okay, you can put birth city unknown, but generally speaking, if you know the city or the town where you're located, that's good enough, or where you were located when you were born. If you want to be sure, go check your passport and see what it says on your passport, or perhaps your birth certificate in terms of the city of birth. Okay, that would be worth waiting for, right? So this question, number 5. Number 5 asks where you were born. This is an important question. It's important you get this right. You can only be born in one place, right? And being born is not really a confusing question. You were only born in one country. You must pick that country accurately, though, because your country of birth is what determines eligibility. And so, that's going to be important for you. Actually, because this form is old, it's probably not going to have the right. It does have United Kingdom, so that's good. Might quibble about that later, but because I put in London, obviously United Kingdom is what I was thinking of, right? England. So that's the country where you were born. Now, let's say that you are not claiming eligibility based on the country where you were born. That is very, very unusual. Question 6 is really not normally meant to be used, right? And why would you use question number 6? Why would you use that at all? Well, you may be claiming eligibility based on a couple of other things. One way that you can do that is through your spouse. Let's say you're from an ineligible country, or even from an eligible country, such as England, but your spouse was born in Australia. In Australia, there would be a higher percentage chance that you would be selected. So it might be a sensible decision to charge to or be charged to your spouse's country of birth. Okay, so it might make sense in some cases, but if you're not sure, don't use that. The other way to overcome an ineligibility, where your country, let's say you were born in Nigeria, which is not eligible, but your parents were only in Nigeria for a temporary period of time, and they were stationed there, and you can prove that, then you could say, oh, hang on, I was born in Kenya. Sorry, I was Kenyan, born in Nigeria. And because of that, I'm going to choose Kenya as the country of chargeability, right? Even though you were born in Nigeria. So in that case, we would have Nigeria here, right? We'll pick Nigeria there, and then we would say, are you claiming eligibility based on the country of you were born? Well, because Nigeria is not eligible, I would say no, and then I would be able to pick a country and say, I'm going to be, I'm Kenyan. My parents were from Kenya. They were told by their company to go and live in Nigeria for a year or so, and while they were there, I was born. That's the story that I have to prove if I want to enter, right? So this is an acceptable way to put that. Of course, I wouldn't put that. I would put Lagos, for example. Okay, so then you're going to add in a photo. You can check the photo for compliance on this app, which is useful, but normally you're going to upload your photo, right? Now, this particular website is trying to get you to use their apps in order to to enter the lottery. It's not a bad app. I've actually tested out this app. It's not a bad one. But you would basically, this is the place where you would be uploading the photo. So firstly, I would upload my own photo, and I would then move down to the address, right? So here's an optional. I was asked today about optional questions. So in care of is optional. Okay, so now I understand there is an optional question. There's not very many optional questions here. So let's say my address is 123 Any Street. And yes, I'm going to say that line 2 is optional. Fine, I'm not going to put that. I'm going to put that in Lagos. State, I don't know. Let's say any state. I don't know, the state's in Lagos. And for zip code, postal or zip code, I don't know if they have such a thing there, but let me just put in a code, a number, right? I could put that if there is a zip code, or I could just simply say there is no postal zip code there, right? And let's say I'm still living, or I'm now living in, no, I'm still living in Nigeria, or I've gone back to live in Nigeria. That would be kind of weird if I said I was only there temporarily, but anyway. Country where you live today, we would say Nigeria. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't, where you live today is not important, right? But nevertheless, they want that number. And okay, there's an optional phone number here. So yeah, I have to apologize who I teased today for talking about optional photos, optional fields rather on the form. There are a few optional fields, but they're not very many. So let's say I'm going to put a number 345, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, let's say that's the number, right? Email address, me at aol.com. And we'll do it again, me at aol.com. Okay, so you put in your email address twice, and then you have to choose the highest level of education you have achieved as of today. People get very worked up about this question. This is not an important question to get right. It doesn't really matter what you pick here. And whatever you pick here, it won't affect your chances of selection. So just be as honest as you can. Did you finish high school but you didn't get a degree, or have you done some university courses? Whatever is your level, just pick it there. Whatever is your nearest level, okay? What's your current marital status? This is a big deal, okay? You can pick from these options. Unmarried, right? Which means you've really never been married. You're not divorced. You're not separated. You're unmarried. You've always been unmarried. Married and my spouse is not a US citizen or LPR. Okay, so that's what most people would be picking. Married and my spouse is a US citizen or an LPR. That would be unusual to pick that one, right? So you wouldn't generally be picking that. Divorced. If you say you're divorced, you're going to be asked for your marriage and your divorce papers when you interview. Okay, so only pick that if it's the truth. Don't lie about any of this. Widowed. Widowed means your spouse that you were legally married to died, and then you're going to be asked for your marriage certificate and your spouse's death certificate. Okay, again, don't pick that if it's not true. Legally separated. Now, for legally separated, you've got to be careful with this one. Some people think they are separated because they've decided to move away from each other, husband and wife, and they decide to live apart because they don't like each other, but they haven't divorced each other yet. They're not yet legally separated unless they go to a court and they got the court to agree that they are legally separated. This status doesn't exist in many countries, right? And it only should be used if you are sure that you have got court paperwork that says you're legally separated. If you don't have that, don't pick that option, right? And it does explain on the form, exactly about that option for legally separated. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm married, and that my spouse is not a US citizen or LPR. The difference between these two questions, by the way, is that if I'm married, but my spouse is a US citizen or a lawful permanent resident, that means I wouldn't have to include my spouse on the application. But I'm going to say I'm married, and therefore, and my spouse is not a US citizen. Therefore, I will be expected to upload my spouse's details as well, right? And I'm going to say I've got one child, and so we're going to go through that process. Let's say, get your photo. No, don't want to have that permanent link to the form. Okay, so because this is a simulation form, it doesn't do the whole thing completely. But if I was filling that in online, and I will record this again once the process is open. But if I was doing that online, because I said I was married and because I said I had one child, it would then prompt me to add a photo and the details for my spouse, and a photo and the details for my child. Okay, but this is just a sort of a practice form, and it says completed, right? Okay, so by all means go practice at that, but that's basically all you have to do. You don't have to be doing anything very complicated here. The things that you must remember is try and get your name right. Okay, check for spelling mistakes and that sort of thing. If you do make a spelling mistake, it's not a terrible error. It can be corrected later once you've been selected, but try and get your name right. Try and get the order of the names right. Your last name or family name is the first one that they'll be asking for. Then they want your first name and then your middle name, right? Get the marital status right. That's very, very important. If you get that wrong, if you say you're a single and you're actually married, you will be disqualified, and there's no way to fix that. get the place of birth correct, and only use the question 6, country of chargeability, if you are sure that you understand why you're using that country of chargeability option. Don't use that unless you really know what you're doing. And there's only really the 2 exceptions, one being through parents who are temporarily in your birth location when you were born, and the other being through a spouse. That's it. Don't use it for any other reason, okay? Okay, so hopefully that's all making sense to you. I'm hoping this was enough of a practice session for you to get an idea of how easy it is to enter the lottery. It's really very simple. There is another aspect of this which we haven't really seen in this practice session about the photos. So I'm going to record another video which will be about the photos specifically. It's important you get good photos. The photos alone account for most of the disqualifications from the initial draw. We really need to focus on getting the photos right. But you've seen how to do the entry. The entry period will open on October the 2nd. It'll run until November the 5th. It makes no difference whatsoever at what time period you enter the lottery. It doesn't matter if it's the first day or the last day or any time in between. It makes absolutely no difference. The main thing is just enter, okay? All right, everybody, I hope that was useful to you. Good luck with your entries. See you soon. Bye-bye.